This is not a good business for breakage in the product, right? So enter Epstein's Island. I did want to talk about children a little bit more. Wanted to talk about specifically Jeffrey Epstein's business model. So, Steve, do you know a lot about Epstein?
I know that he went to jail and there was some conspiracy about how he ended up, but that's about all I know about him.
He was like this finance guy, sort of. So what happened was he went to school for finance. He got this mentor, and the mentor helped him start his own business, right? So that's kind of the undisputed part. And here's my take though of how it got to where it became, okay? So he's running this hedge fund. Investing is hard, okay? It's really hard, and he probably needed to make money another way. So he probably did what a lot of hedge funds do, and he just laundered money for people. So what you do is, you get your wealthy investor, they give you $100,000, you give them an investment return of $2 million, whoa. And, it's from their offshore bank account, where they store their blood money or whatever it is, right? Totally normal, right? This happens all the time. But the problem for him is then these companies start going, well, why should I choose you to launder my blood money, And that's why you got to differentiate, okay? So it's not all about the product, but the service, okay? It's a competitive market, and the business has to go on. And, as business tends to be, some things are surprising. Some things become more, important than others. And this is one where the services became, more important than the product, right? So, look at Starbucks, they started with coffee, and then all of a sudden the vanilla bean frappuccino takes off and the business model's totally changed, okay? This is similar, all right? You start laundering money, it goes okay, but then you have to kind of, you got to differentiate. You got to make it worth it for people. You got to start, offering things like traffic children to abuse while you wait in the lobby.
Oh my God.
And eventually, as business happens to be, people come for the coffee, and then sometimes they want to just come back for a frappuccino. And that's what happened here. People come back and they go, hey, I want to invest another $10,000. And they're like, well, how much are you looking to return for it? So, I just wanted to, wait in the lobby, if you know what I mean. And I think that's how the business really started, right? Because, now, the extra goes to being like a paid product. You kind of need to step it up. You can't, if it was free, it was whatever. Now you got to step it up. So you look at weed becomes legal, and now you need better packaging. You need a menu. People want to know, a foodie, the origin story of the weed. They want to know how the okra got into the salad. Same thing happened with Epstein. People were like, hey, how did this kid get here? Can you tell me a bit about their story? Do you have any that are younger? Do you have any that are browner? Maybe that don't cry as much?
Oh my God.
Realistically, though, I think that's ridiculous. They were probably asking for ones that could, cry more.
Oh.
Do you have any that can take a beating? And they had to be like, I'm sorry, Mr. Trump. We kind of have, it's a backlog and blah, blah, blah. He is in the flight logs. You can look that up. So, and there's cases against him, and this girl was like, I was 14. It's fucked up. But, so now, after a while, this business is really booming. The inventory is getting out of hand. There's a lot of customers, and there's a lot of upkeep. This is not a good business for breakage in the product, right? So enter Epstein's Island. Now, they've got their own warehouse. There's a lot of expenses. You can't buy traditional business interruption insurance for a human trafficking ring. They don't have insurance for becoming under indictment for human trafficking. It's very difficult to underwrite that. It would be an actuarial nightmare. Could you imagine trying to regress propensity to be indicted for child trafficking into a model to underwrite insurance for that?
Yeah, I feel like the payout would be just super complicated, right? It's all right, it was only 3 kids, you get X amount. No good? I'm just saying, from an actuarial standpoint, this would be just such a headache,
You'd probably need that kind of Poisson regression that uses zeros to for the number of kids and stuff, and it'd be a nightmare. It's we predict that you're going to get taken down by 4.5 kids. They're 4.5? How does that work? And you have to explain adding up probabilities to them because they're child traffickers. They don't get it. You cut them in half? I never thought of that. So yeah, you can't underrate that. Truly a nightmare. And you'd also need in the data people who did and did not get caught. So you'd have to... that's another issue. But yeah, so then, he's got to get his own insurance, right? He's got to take it into his own hands. So he starts making videotapes of everybody using the products. Now he can blackmail,
Smart.
okay? So if anybody says, I'll do that, right, yeah. And then, of course, he's got a lot of data now. He's got this video, he's got this flight log, he's got all this stuff, right? He's got, where people are making their money they're laundering, he's got what kind of little children he's got all this stuff, right? And, data is more valuable than gold, so you got to find a way to monetize that. You got to find a way to make money off the data, okay? So you call up some agencies like the CIA and Mossad, and you kind of have to feel them out. It's like a cold call, like sales, like, hey, just curious, theoretically, let's say, what if I had a way to blackmail any politician or powerful person? Would that be valuable to you? Like, how much would that valuable? Well, that kind of depends. How do you do it? We have a pretty strict code of ethics here. Oh, maybe, human trafficking, like younger and like, children, child trafficking, maybe that. Oh, that's not even a blip on the radar. Want to come down to the office? Really? Even Epstein's surprised. Like, what? It's like, I can't believe it. So he's like, sure, how's tomorrow? And they're like, Epstein's like, I got time, between like 3 to 4, and then like any time after 6 would be good. They're like, oh, sorry, we close at 5. Would you be able to do it at 4? Like, I don't think I can make it, and then the secretary's like, I'll share a calendar, maybe that'll help. And Epstein's like, okay, that'd be great.
It's like an Outlook invitation.
Yeah, discussion on blackmail. Like, required, Epstein, optional, the Mossad.
Cambridge Analytica.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I don't know, what are you going to do? That's, you got to start a business. A business is the real way to secure financial freedom.